There we go. And... maybe. Alright, now we're live! There we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Sorry I'm late. Bit of a late start. Sarah was up late tonight. And I decided to jump straight into the game. Mostly, so I don't get copyright struck for those first few seconds of wonderful, beautiful, very copyrighted by third parties who have nothing to do with the publisher music. So, very sorry that we don't get any wonderful, beautiful music, but gotta do what you gotta do. Oh, a thing. Don't really need what oh, no. Sarah's still trying to go to bed. By which I mean trying not to go to bed, of course. Can't do that yet. Oh, there she is.
Come to me, child, and I shall embrace, and I shall embrace.
I'm sure you can hear that.
In my arms lies
Very sorry.
eternity.
Alright, you know what? I'm gonna let you guys look at the pretty stuff. Listen to some random dialogue for a moment. Because I am going to be right back.
Steal from their brothers and sisters, do harm to their livelihood and to their peace of mind. Our Maker sees this with a heavy heart. My Creator, judge me whole. Find me well within your grace. Touch me with fire that I be cleansed. Tell me I have sung to your approval. Blessed are the righteous. The lights in the shadow, in their blood the Maker's will is written.
Come to me, child, and I shall embrace you. In my arms lies eternity.
Alright, we're back. Sorry about that. You understand, though. The child definitely takes priority over you guys. No offense, of course.
Blessed are the righteous.
Oh, gosh, she still doesn't want to go to bed. That didn't help very much, but what are you going to do, you know? Anyway, good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Oh my gosh. That didn't do much good, but it's fine. Anyway. Welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm no longer a floating head. Okay. I have some... Hold on a second.
With them?
Not at all. I will inform you if that changes.
Alright, let me see. So we have two... Hi, Kevin. How's it going? Good evening. We have the two major actual quests. We have to recruit the Grey Warden, that is Blackwall, in the Hinterlands. And we have to recruit the commander of this mercenary company, the Bull's Chargers, that is Iron Bull, at the Storm Coast. We're going to do this one first, because we're going to do some stuff on the Storm Coast. Then we're going to go back to the Hinterlands, because we have some stuff to do in the Hinterlands as well. Some actual plot stuff to do in the Hinterlands. Because I have decided, unless you guys are going to try and convince me otherwise, to side with the mages. But in the meantime, we have a bunch of these little storyboard war table quests. So let's do some of these first. Before the Fifth Blight and the arrival of the Hero Ferelden, Haven was occupied by cultists who worshipped a dragon, one they believed to be Andraste reborn. Both the cultists and their dragon were long gone by the time the Chantry arrived to build the Temple of Sacred Ashes, but there may still be undiscovered passages in the mountains containing their relics. With a concerted search effort, it may be possible to unearth something useful to the Inquisition. A few select agents knowledgeable in dangerous magic. I have just the ones in mind. What do you want to bet that involves Liliana herself? Because she was here once. Real possibility and a decent option. I'm leery of what we might find in these passages, but we have enough soldiers for a search. We need to be careful. How about we go with very select, special people, led by Liliana, who knows exactly what she's doing? That actually sounds like a better idea. Requires time. Hold on a minute. Did my mods not apply? Oh no. I may have... Crap. I have to relaunch. You guys give me a minute. I have to relaunch the game. My mods didn't apply properly. Forgot I have to launch it through the mod manager. Sorry about that. Kevin says, "Oh, sorry. Oh, hey, sorry about the dude on my post earlier. He was acting very irrationally and rudely. Not at well, yes, but I'm used to it. Don't worry about it at all. I was being as genuine and helpful as I could, and trying desperately not to get too deep into it. In terms of like getting into a fight kind of deal, you know, I try and avoid that sort of thing, like just arguing to the point where it devolves into fighting on Facebook, because I find that to be counterproductive. But yeah, I was being a little bit snide with my response. Hey, here is economics in one lesson. You should read it. But I am quite serious. If you do talk to him regularly, I would be very happy to send him a copy. Like, if that means literally mailing one, that is fine by me. Car. I have 2 full boxes. And I could just have one mailed to him. From the Mises Institute, they are still giving them away as many copies as you want or need for free. So, okay. Hopefully we can get back into this relatively quickly. Kevin says, I was legit ready to bring the hammer down if he blasphemed again. Again, that's unfortunately something I'm terribly used to, especially online. I'm terribly, terribly used to people saying horrifying and disturbing and awful things, including things which are you know, offensive not only to me but to God. And vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Not to imply, not mine. The Lord. What is this? What is that psalm that I love so very much? The Lord laughs at the wicked, for he knows their day is coming. Something like that. Gotta love stuff like that. All right, now let's see if my mod to get rid of timers. Yay! Will take no time.
About Cullen?
Yes.
Oh, Cullen was distracted.
Haven has limited space for our soldiers to train. Perhaps we could set up something over here.
Haven is pretty small. And not exactly a fortress. I wonder if we'll be getting a fortress soon. Anyway, yes, the answer is yes. Yeah, let's actually do this. Okay, so it's incredible how many passages remain undiscovered even after the Chantry's arrival, and they scoured every inch of the mountains for years in search of anything related to the sacred ashes. The cult didn't build didn't build all of this. It was here long before, and who knows how many years it would take to find it all. Of the passages uncovered during the search, most were long empty or contained goods far beyond salvage. Few, however, yielded some artifacts of interest, and one evidently contains strange runes we have yet to translate. If we can find someone capable of doing so, they might prove useful. I would love to do that. Secrets of Andraste. The runes discovered in the mountain passage during the recent search are of a type never seen before, neither Dementor nor Elven, perhaps dating back to the time of Andraste herself. That would be Dementor, and way after Elven, but whatever. There are a few who might be able to translate the script, and the benefit, of doing so is unknown. Liliana has agents with magical knowledge and the means to acquire texts. Let us work on this ourselves. Okay. Josephine says, I know has several Antivan scholars who can be discreet. They'd happily translate the runes for us. No, let's do the diplomatic thing. Still discreet, but working with others, gathering allies, that sort of thing.
At your service.
We get gold from it. All right. Interestingly, the runes are Alamari in origin, belonging to the tribes that inhabited Ferelden almost 1,000 years ago. What is of greater interest, however, is that none of the runes translate intelligibly, meaning it is all in code. According to the translators, a reference to the Guardian also indicates an island off the northern coast. Most curious. I'll continue translation efforts in the hope we can narrow this down further. Alamari were Andraste's people. She was a tribeswoman from southern Ferelden. Kevin says, I reckon it's my duty to defend the holy name so that society sees that there's a difference between common words and the most holy name of Christ. I think that that is best done, in my view at least, and I'm not an expert on the practicality of these matters, but it seems to me that that is best done more by example. And to be fair, I'm not even perfect with that. But using language appropriate to the situation is something that can mark one off as different. And I think that that is a better approach than even addressing people. Because if you get them to notice it themselves, that can lead them along to something far better than you pointing it out to them, if that's possible. Under circumstances where that's possible, which it isn't always. But in some cases that I think can work. Oh boy. Red Jenny. Inquisition needs bees. You guys remember how I told you that we had found the most annoying character in the Dragon Age franchise? Well, now she wants bees. You know what ruins a party? Bees. I know a man who teaches how to jar them safe but angry. Stingy, no good for honey, but great for throwing. Here's somewhere south. Sarah has scribbled a jar of bees hitting someone in the face. Also a butt. Bounty hunters. Yeah. Let's not actually put much effort into this. This is ridiculous. Jar of bees, grenade recipe. We received weapon plans and located an apiary to supply us. When the idea was presented, the beekeeper tented his fingers and sneered, "Of course." Quite disturbing. Indeed. Okay. Another Red Jenny thing. Cullen. From Cullen. Letter from Sarah. You big hats. Lord whoever says you're rubbish. His servants don't care, but could. Drop a few things for them. They'll give Josephine a surprise. I think scrolls or something. Sarah. Scribbled of heraldic symbols and directions are below. Also Sarah's name 37 times. Oh my god. She's like 10 years old. What is this? Heraldry is a minor house. Shall we instead see what the surprise might be? We require middlemen to secure the goods in the favor of the noble. No time for games. Far simpler to stop this with soldiers and find favor with this noble. Let's do the Liliana thing. Sneaky. Mischief, not malevolence. The service involved were dismissed, and we've a minor reward for the effort. Good. I want nothing to do with that. The whole Red Jenny thing is painfully irritating in so many repeated ways. They're like the whiskered men with bombs kind of anarchists that give civilized anarchists a bad name. What we're dealing with here. The Chantry remains. Confrontation with Mother Havara in the Valrayo market had the desired effect, to a point. The Chantry's condemnation of the Inquisition was lost amid a flurry of speculations over the actions of Lord Seeker Lucius, as well as a divide in the opinions of the remaining Chantry clerics. There are, however, clerics still loudly denouncing the Herald of Andraste. The Inquisition could leave them to their speeches, but dealing with them before the Chantry elects a new divine could be of benefit. These clerics were not at the conclave for a reason. They all have secrets and weaknesses we should exploit, or, Josephine, delicate hand is needed. We should focus on clerics who can be swayed, make their voices louder than those who oppose us. I like that idea. Send a contingent of Inquisition soldiers. You can offer protection. No! Josephine. Diplomatic efforts were successful. Clerics are appreciative of our help. Those who despaired, the others have listened on the loudest and most divisive voices. Chantry, as a political ally for the moment, should caution that there are clerics who believe this is a ploy to control the divine election. Well, yes, it is, but moving on. Kevin says, Christ's name is only taken in vain because Satan desires to drag it down to the level of everything else. I know it sounds archaic, but words invoke powerful reactions in people. It does, indeed. There's a couple of things I can really point to about this. There's a great interview not long ago on Pints with Aquinas with Matt Fradd. So it's Matt Fradd talking to Jonathan Pageau. And Jonathan's explanation of the negative aspects of swearing, of cussing, basically, foul language, is that what it is doing is reaching outside the civilized layer of discussion. So you'll notice swearing. Every swearing term, every foul term in just about any language, particularly Western languages, is either reaching down into that which is ordinarily hidden. And hidden because it is uncivilized. It's beneath our humanity. Or it is reaching up and pulling down that which is hidden, say, beyond the veil of the tabernacle. Right? So, cussing, right, foul language, is almost necessarily either scatological or sexual in a foul way, or invoking God, or invoking the divine in a blasphemous way. Both of these are pulling things into the social order that have been put outside of it for good reason. I mean, the Holy of Holies is something which is veiled for good reason. The scatological and the crude sexual as crude, I should say, is beneath social notice. And for, again, good reason. It is the kind of thing which interrupts ordinary social order. This isn't quite the point Jonathan made in the interview, but even if we just think of it in terms of so if I were to go right now, leave the stream, to use the bathroom, or to use scatological terms, to go take a shit, what I would be doing there is interrupting the ordinary flow of things, or something that, again, in civilized conversation, we have innuendo for. That's why I said use the restroom. Not even, like, it's even sort of taboo to say, like, use the toilet, right? Or you know, even using a sort of non wearing term, right? An appropriate term, something like, if I were to say something like, I'm going to go poop, or I'm going to go defecate, right? That is something that, first of all, interrupts the ordinary flow of things, but it interrupts the ordinary flow of things in a way that we have social conventions to pave over, right? And by saying shit, or whatever, any kind of reaching down kind of curse word, part of what we're doing there is we are unveiling that. We're unearthing what is buried beneath the norms of society. And what that means we're ultimately doing is we're roughening up the foundations of our social order. And this is usually inappropriate. Right? It's usually inappropriate to do so. Rare exceptions being when that covering, when that floor is already uprooted somehow, given certain social circumstances or whatever, that sort of thing. In which case it can be somewhat more appropriate, not necessarily fully appropriate, but can be somewhat more appropriate. Or as a way of disrupting something social, right? If you have a good reason for causing a social disturbance or a disruption, then that is a way to do it. A socially proper, almost, way of doing it. Same, though, with pulling down the divine, bringing it into the world of the immanent. It is taking that which is holy, that which is set apart, and dragging it into our here and now, and that is interrupting the way of things. Right? So if you encountered a Eucharistic procession, you or I, a pious Catholic, if we encountered a Eucharistic procession sort of wandering through town, that would certainly and justly interrupt our daily routine. For, again, very good reason. It is not the sort of thing that we should simply just ignore and move on past. It is a very important thing. But to do that, to invoke that without the kind of gravity or importance or the reasons behind something like a Eucharistic procession would be grossly inappropriate. Because it would be effectively taking something divine and using it for mundane purposes. And further, using it to disrupt the properly ordained structure of social relationships. So this is, I think, honestly, it's the best argument I've ever heard for, let's say, against the ordinary use of swearing, of inappropriate language, or even the probably the best argument I've heard for the inappropriateness of certain language, scatological and blasphemous. Blasphemous is maybe a stretch for certain things, but then you have the most interesting, like, holy crap, which is pulling down and pulling up and shoving them together, which is even further jarring, and again, socially disruptive. So I think that's a really interesting. I'll put a link to this conversation as well in the description. Because I think it was very, very interesting. Yeah, I think that's a fair way of looking at why certain things are taboo and what they're doing to our ordinary social relationships. Beyond just maybe giving offense to somebody, it is genuinely a kind of social disruption. You are disrupting the ordinary flow of society, of social relations. And by doing that, in inappropriate circumstances, in circumstances where doing so is in fact disruptive, it can be, it undermines social cohesion. It undermines our ordinary social relationships, our ordinary activities, the kinds of things that we do from, on a day-to-day basis ordinarily. And I mean ordinary here in the sense of something like ordinary time, that is rightly ordered in a regulated or regular sort of way. Not ordinary in the sense of being non-special or boring. Anyway, that is, I think, probably the best argument against swearing, at least regularly, that I've probably ever heard. So, take from that what you will. All right, let's see here. Letter addressed to Vivienne lies open. Josephine, darling, you should take care of this V. My dearest Vivienne, you cannot have heard the shocking allegations against the Inquisition, or surely you would never have been seen with them. Allow me as a friend to open your eyes. People are saying that Divine Justinia is indeed alive, that the Inquisition, her closest advisors and most trusted servants, have orchestrated all of this chaos on her orders. that it was Seeker Pentagast and Sister Nightingale who sabotaged the Conclave in order to eliminate opposition within the Chantry and cut off the heads of the Mage Rebellion and Templars in a single stroke. To save your own reputation, you must escape this acquaintance immediately. Oof, that's a hell of a rumor. Yeah, I think that's right. Proving the Divine's death would be used against us. That would be seen as sort of parading her death around, and that would be gravely inappropriate. Need the support of the nobles to combat this rumor, can arrange VQ visits. Nah. We can't prove the Divine is dead. We could escort people to the crater to see it for themselves. Now, Liliana, let's find where this rumor came from, because this is a nasty, nasty rumor.
Let's see what we have. This
This will actually take a full minute, because you can only eliminate so much. Meanwhile, let's gather some coin, because why not?
To work?
Let us begin.
Okay. Well, we just take a minute and wait. Okay, we might as well, right? All right. Let's see, is it done yet? In progress. Another 20 seconds. All right, that'll give us time for like one more. Anyway, I should have done this while I was talking. I didn't. So another thing that has bothered me lately is social media imposed doublespeak. If you recall from Monday, we were talking about some controversial topics, particularly about what is appropriate to do to pedophiles. You'll notice I'm just saying it now, because I think I've decided that, I mean, worst case scenario, something like this gets me demonetized or not fit for children or whatever, talking about something like this. And fine, I'm not monetized anyway. I list these as not appropriate for children anyway. So I don't really care. And saying things like friends of the playground, funny as that might be, is also sort of training ourselves, not just me, but you guys included, to say things that are, if not untrue, at least say things that are different from what we mean. And that can be extremely dangerous to ourselves, to our own souls, to our own capacity to tell the truth. And I noticed this from Facebook as well. I manage a group about smoking pipes and cigars, of all things. And I got a notification just an hour or so ago that a member had been banned from Facebook temporarily, 24 hours, for saying something against community guidelines that was treated by the algorithm as an explicit threat. But that what I wasn't allowed to see, so I asked him. Apparently, he said to somebody, "I will cut you." I don't even know the context. I don't care what the context was. There is almost no context in which that is an explicit threat under legal terms. But, and I mean, my last ban from Facebook was for making a joke about a statue of Harambe, the gorilla, being too close to a statue of a child, and saying, "Oh no, they might have to shoot him again." And that was enough to get me a 30-day ban from Facebook. A joke about shooting a statue of a dead gorilla. Now, if I have to dance around everything like this, I'm never going to be able to say what I actually mean to say. So, I'm making a conscious decision to go at least a lot closer to saying exactly what I mean, rather than trying so desperately to dance around things. And you know what? If social media platforms are going to be that insane about things, then so much the worse for them. They'll die off a lot before, long before we will. Captain says, "Oh no, I'm all about being straightforward about the issue of pedophiles." Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't know what I mean, I've been sort of conditioned into this habit of sort of talking around things just by social media, and I'm realizing that it's dangerously unhealthy. It's like spiritually unhealthy. And I don't like it. It's conditioning us for doublespeak, sort of in Orwell's terms, saying one thing in order to mean something that is meant to be unsayable, but then eventually just meaning the thing that you're saying out loud because the unsayable thing is unsayable and therefore it becomes unthinkable. It's nasty. It's really nasty. Um, I was speaking of Friends with Aquinas and Matt Frad. Um, he did a live stream today um, about a trans issue. I'll let you watch if you want to know details. But a large part of what he was talking about was this point: was that we're being conditioned by social media to not say things that ought to be said, or even not say things that we think ought to be said, or that we want to say, or things that we mean. And that it's a kind of conditioning ourselves into not just accepting the lie, but participating in the lie. And that's morally repugnant and dangerous to our own souls. Backing up a moment about the last topic, related again. Kevin said, honestly, I have regretted my acceptance of license to use rude language lately, namely because it offends the moral sensibility of people I want to evangelize. Solid point, too. We want to set ourselves apart. I had an unbelievably clean mouth all through high school because I was in marching band. And our marching band was very, very hard line, and this was a students and teacher thing. This was just a cultural thing in our marching band that we do not swear in our capacity as band members ever. And it was a standards thing. It was a it was a nobility thing. Even we were like, we saw ourselves as a kind of noble guard kind of thing. It was a wonderful thing, and it really did set us apart because you could tell, first of all, who the band members were compared to other hobbies or whatever, or other extracurricular activities. And you could also tell who took it seriously and who didn't. Because those who took it seriously, who were serious about marching band, and really wanted to be part of the culture, it extended beyond just band kids and extended beyond just in marching band settings. It was great. It was, but then in college, I didn't have that influence anymore. And so I just gradually picked up, nasty language. Oh my gosh. I have too many text messages. Guys. Kevin said, it's sad to have to code language, but it's also kind of fun because you know that the people who use your language are your people. That is true. That is true. Let's go Brandon. That's somebody says, let's go Brandon. You know exactly what you're saying, really, and who you're making fun of and for what. You're making fun of the obvious fact that we are obviously saying something, but that but that they don't want us to. And I think that can apply to a lot of these sorts of things. Nightingale, 100 shadows to chase, heading to Lake Celestine. Nobility say it's lovely this time of year. Fisher. Okay. There's no quest around Lake Celestine, but okay. Maybe later. Who knows? Alright. Anything else? No, Storm Coast. Let's go to the Storm Coast. Let's go talk to and recruit Iron Bull. Lieutenant Harding led a small complement of soldiers, yada yada yada. Nothing further. Mission remains unknown. Alright, let's go and venture forth. Let's not bring... please, let's not bring Sarah. Let's bring Varric, Cassandra, and Vivienne. Yeah. As I've mentioned, I like Vivienne. As I mentioned last week, I really, really like Vivienne. Oh my gosh. Michael is watching Erica wrap presents. It's adorable. Anyway. Schematics, fast travel spots, the Hinterlands. There's a lot on the Hinterlands. A lot of time we're going to be spending in the Hinterlands because we're going back there tonight too. As if we didn't spend enough time there 2 times ago, apparently. So, here we go. Right. What's taking so long? Like it's loading.
Your worship, for what it's worth.
And her
welcome
arms
to
are
the
gone.
Storm Coast. I would have sent word sooner, but our efforts have been delayed.
How so?
There's a group of bandits operating in the area. They know the terrain, and our small party has had trouble going up against them. Some of our soldiers went to speak with their leader. Haven't heard back, though.
Uh-oh.
Thanks for the report, Harding.
Of course. The soldiers didn't have an exact location for the bandits, but they were starting their search farther down the beach. With all this fuss,
Okay.
we haven't been able to conduct a proper search for the wardens either. Well, good luck, and enjoy the sea air. I hear it's good for the soul.
It's also pouring rain. Alrighty then. So, first thing we need to do here... Heck was that? Would be... I hear a dragon, don't I?
This might interest you, sir.
How do I do this? No, not rest. I didn't mean to do that. Oh my gosh. Come on.
This might interest you, sir.
There we go.
What is it? This may be worthwhile.
Okay. I need spider ichor. Means I need to kill some spiders. And not sell the junk. Oh, wait. Let's do that first. There's a not an Astorian. There's a skull thingy. See, this is the kind of crap that I really should be doing off stream. And probably will be doing off stream. At some point or another. Like finding all these shards and stuff. Oh, look, fighting. Cool. We'll do that later. Oh, wow, that's far away. Okay, cool. Thought I saw glint, but no. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's it. Whee! Alright. Okay. I'm working on the controls still. I'm getting there.
Stand down! Trim! How'd we
Hey,
do?
Bull.
5 or 6 wounded, Chief. No dead.
That's what I like to hear. Let the throat cutters finish up, then break out the casks. So, you're with the Inquisition, huh? Glad you can make it. Come on, have a seat. Drinks are coming.
Iron Bull, I presume.
Yeah, the horns usually give it away.
Good bull, because he's got... Anyway. I kind of love his ridiculous pants, and I kind of always have.
I assume you remember Cremisius Aclasi, my lieutenant.
Good to see you again. Throat cutters are done, Chief.
Already? Have him check again. I don't want any of those Tevinter bastards getting away. No offense, Krem.
None taken. At least a bastard knows who his mother was. Puts him one up on you Canary, right?
So, you've seen us fight.
Nice.
We're expensive, but we're worth it. And I'm sure the Inquisition can afford us.
Detrick says, Contrarian doublespeak lost its appeal to me when I realized it's still reliant on the mainstream Overton window. Even those who use it, like Let's Go Brandon, claim they're acting against it. Rebelling against an orthodoxy inherently means you still care about the orthodoxy. And hey, stumbled across your stream. Love the Dragon Age series. Awesome, welcome. Yeah, I love this series. I might like Inquisition best. I hate to say that because the other two, you know what? No, I can't say that. They each have a fantastic and spectacular appeal to them that I really just can't say that there is a favorite of mine. Because Inquisition has some of my favorite elements, but it also has some of the most annoying elements. So take what you want. But yeah, I think you have a real point there. To address what you're actually saying. Yeah, I think it is still, in a sense, sort of participating, to use maybe Foucaultian terms that I otherwise despise. It's still sort of participating in that dialectic of power, right? It's participating in the power structure that you're trying to overthrow, trying to buck against, and all that. I don't think Let's Go Brandon as a substitute for Fuck Joe Biden. I don't think that really applies there quite as much as some of the others, because I think it is specifically about making fun of. It's specifically making fun of their doublespeak, right? Their pasting over of reality, right? Because I mean, if we think back to when it actually happened, right, where that came from, it was a reporter who was desperately trying to hide the fact that there were thousands and thousands of people chanting "Fuck Joe Biden" at a sporting event. A NASCAR race in this case. Was it NASCAR? I think it was NASCAR. It was a race. I forget if it was NASCAR. I think it was, but either way. And so she was desperately trying to paper over this and trying to hide it, right? And it is kind of, I get it as, in that case at least, as poking fun at their rejection of reality. And that, I think, has its own significance. Apart from, trying to avoid the censors or trying to respect sensibilities or that kind of thing that saying friends of the playground or fans of the playground rather than pedophiles. That's a difference, right? That is maybe trying to be funny, but at the same time it's trying to avoid upsetting YouTube's sensibilities in this case. And that's Greetings, Cindy, if you're real. If you're not real, Erica, kill it. No one clicked that, by the way. I get those once in a while.
How much is this going to cost me exactly?
Wouldn't cost you anything personally. Unless you want to buy drinks later. Your ambassador, what's her name? Josephine. We'd go through her and get the payments set up. Gold will take care of itself. Don't worry about that. All that matters is we're worth it.
Okay, fair enough. Huh. Right, how could I forget? Speaking of Matt Fradd and Pints with Aquinas, I happen to be drinking a Guinness from their Pints with Aquinas beer stein. I got this back before Patreon went it's up, so to speak, went as evil as they have since then, and before I got the heck off the platform. But currently, you can get one of those by being a patron, and possibly, I know he's setting up some other things too, so like locals and stuff like that. So if you, like me, are not a fan of Patreon, there might be an opportunity to get a wonderful, 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 wonderful hand-etched, etched stoneware Pints with Aquinas Stein, which is wonderful, very well made, very well designed, and I love the logo. Very nicely etched in here, and everything. Don't use it for coffee. It violates the natural law, as I've argued elsewhere.
The Chargers seem like an excellent company.
They are, but you're not just getting the boys. You're getting me. You need a frontline bodyguard. I'm your man. Whatever it is. Demons? Dragons? The bigger the better. And there's one other thing. Might be useful. Might piss you off. Ever hear of the Ben Hasra?
They're a Kunari organization, right? The equivalent of their guards in City Watch.
I'd go closer to spies. But yeah, that's them. Or, well, us. The Ben Hasrath are concerned about the breach. Magic out of control like that could cause trouble everywhere. I've been ordered to join the Inquisition, get close to the people in charge, and send reports on what's happening. But I also get reports from Ben Hasrath agents all over Orlais. You sign me on, I'll share them with your people.
Okay, so first of all, this is really interesting as a character. I wish he were a better companion, because he dies so easily for a frontline fighter. I feel so bad about that, because I almost never take him anywhere. He's just really cool. But he's not a very good companion for mechanical purposes, so unfortunately he's going to be staying back at Haven for now, and then eventually Skyhold for a lot of the game, unfortunately. But we're going to chat with him a bunch. The Ben Hasra thing becomes very, very interesting as we go along. I don't know how much to reveal now, so let's see what Sable has to say about it, and then we'll go from there.
You're a Kunari spy, and you just told me.
Whatever happened at that conclave thing, it's bad. Someone needs to get that breach closed. So whatever I am, I'm on your side.
You still could have hidden what you are.
From something called the Inquisition. I'd have been tipped sooner or later. Better you hear it right up front from me.
That's wise. Another one? Are you serious? Kevin says a farm muscle devil. He's not a devil. He might be part dragon. He's not a devil. Now the Kunari, as a people, are abjectly evil. Oh, a fat muscle devil. He's not fat either. He's built like a strong man. He's the kind of guy who could pull a semi-truck. Probably with his teeth. Yeah, he is very squishy, though. Yeah, I didn't... Datrix says, good perspective. DA2 is definitely my favorite. I love the companions and the rivalry system. That's very true. And the dialogue is just so well written. But Inquisition definitely has its strengths. Vivienne, Sarah Blackwell are my favorite party. Great for great banter. Oh, I'm sorry. I hate Sarah. I really hate Sarah. She has her moments, but they're few and far between, mostly interspersed with things that I just find absolutely insufferable. So I apologize that she won't be around too much, and I'm probably going to be shit talking her a lot. As for Dragon Age 2, though, the character writing and the dialogue especially was just incredible. And honestly, stylistically, I think it aged the best out of the three so far. And it's because of how highly stylized everything is. The character design, the graphical style, the over-the-top story, and the over-the-top animations and all that stuff. I think that it stands apart as unique and trying to be what it is, instead of Inquisition, which is trying to be realistic and high fidelity and doesn't always succeed, especially, 5 years, or 7 years later at this point? 6 years later? I don't know. 2014, so 7 years later? The cracks in the graphics are starting to show here and there, whereas Dragon Age 2, the graphics were great for 2011, but they were never, blow you away top-notch. Because I don't think they were really trying to be. They were trying to be highly stylized. And they really did a good job. It's why Wind Waker aged so well, whereas Twilight Princess kinda is a little bit off, especially graphically and stylistically, comparatively. by comparison, as far as like Zelda games go, mainline Zelda games go. Toon Link is supposed to look like Toon Link. Hawke in DA2 is supposed to look like an illustration on the cover of a pulp novel. You know, Varric's pulp novel. Not so much a real human being or a real Qunari like Iron Bull that we've been staring at. Kevin says he could eat a whole donut shop in his teeth too. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Yeah.
What would you send home in these reports of yours?
Enough to keep my superiors happy. Nothing that'll compromise your operations. The
That's
Qunari
good.
want to know if they need to launch an invasion to stop the whole damn world from falling apart. You let me send word of what you're doing, it'll put some minds at ease. That's good for everyone.
That's good news.
What's in these Ben Hasrath reports you're offering to share?
Enemy movements, suspicious activity, intriguing gossip. It's a bit of everything. Alone they're not much, but if your spy master is worth it, damn, she'll put him to good use.
She?
I did a little research. Plus, I've always had a weakness for redheads.
Of course you have. I will say, what's-his-face? I think does a better job, or maybe better cast here as Iron Bull than he was in Mass Effect 3 as James. It's really similar. What the hell is his name? Someone remind me. It's gonna drive me nuts if I can't think of it. Same guy. Also, though, in a role that I think he does even better still, because it's a much more serious role, Kanan Jarrus from Star Wars Rebels. Same guy. Does a fantastic job at that role. Better than either of these, really, because both of these he's the big guy. And if you've seen this guy, whose name again I will remember it eventually. But if you've seen this guy, he's like 5 foot nothing, 100 pounds, skinny little dude. He could not be farther from eat a whole donut shop with his teeth while pulling a semi-truck inside Iron Bull. Or arms wider than you are tall, James Vega. No. I think he does a good job as Kanan Jarrus, the hesitant Jedi Master. Knight? I don't know, whatever. Yeah, let's bring him in, but I'm still cautious about the whole Ben Astra thing. And the whole Qunari thing in general, as we've gone over. Qunari are kind of awful.
You run your reports past Liliana before sending them. You send nothing she doesn't approve. If this turns out to be a trick, or if your reports compromise the Inquisition, Cassandra will eat you alive.
Wouldn't have it any other way. Prem, tell the men to finish drinking on the road. The Chargers just got hired.
What about the casks, Chief? We just opened them up with axes.
Find some way to seal them.
Why would you do that?
To Venter, right? Try blood magic. We'll meet you back at Haven.
That's rude. Let's not bring him yet. Let's stick with our nice 3. Let's pick a bunch of this stuff. And then we'll move right along. Unlike in Greedfall, there is actually a lot of benefit to exploring in this game, so I think we're going to do some of that here and there. Now, that said, doing this, gathering materials, I'm going to try and avoid doing too much of that, despite my gamer instincts telling me to pick up everything that glows. At least on stream. I might go back and like gather what materials I need off stream. That kind of thing. At some point or another. Because that's the kind of thing that I can just do. Just hop on the game when I'm not busy. Especially over winter break, you know, Christmas time. There's spooters. There's spooters. Sneak, sneak. That's not a spooter. That's a spooter. There we go. Those are deep stalkers. Kevin says, "Yeah, I'm a dwarf. I'm naturally rude." Indeed. Not much wrong with that. I mean, to be fair, that can be detrimental for, as you were mentioning before, things like evangelization. If you are trying to convince someone or evangelize someone with more delicate sensibilities, let's say, then being standoffish and rude can be detrimental. Or, under different circumstances, it can be exceedingly useful. Someone who respects that. There are a lot of people who deeply respect that sort of thing. More so than a veneer of niceness. Or an apparent veneer of niceness. I say apparent because I am temperamentally quite agreeable. I tend to be, by default, rather nice about things. And so, I'm more elven in my sensibilities, let's say.
Those
Wait.
must be the bandits Harding mentioned.
Excuse me?
One down.
Love that explosion. Anyway, but yeah, it's Ow! Hey! There we go. On fire. Yeah, I tend to be rather conciliatory when it comes to genuine conversation. Funny, it was actually somewhat similar to kind of how something else I was mentioning before, something somebody posted that I had to share. This wasn't on the Professor McCoy page or anything. It maybe should have. It was about Lord of the Rings, in particular the Peter Jackson films, which just, by the way, celebrated their 20th anniversary of the Fellowship coming out. Just a few days ago. Need to watch it maybe tonight. It'll be very late for me to do that, but it's a Christmas movie, so maybe. In any case, there's a kind of sincerity to it, that it takes itself very seriously. Not overly seriously, not in a way that it doesn't take itself seriously to the extent that it would demand us to question it. But it takes itself seriously enough for us to know that we ought to take it seriously, right? And I accidentally hit the wrong button. Sorry. And in that way, it is an outlier in our culture. Because if you look at things like Marvel movies, which are really the best example of this, they are very tongue-in-cheek. I haven't seen the new Spider-Man yet, so I mean, just to be polite, let's avoid spoilers. I already know some of the plot and all that. I've seen some reviews and things, but regardless. What is this? Shards? I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Eventually, we're going to get the heck out of here, but for now, we'll... What's this? Wardens, huh? What's this? Oh, more shards. Okay. Shard around here somewhere in a book. But it's very... Like I said, it's extremely sincere. In a way, Lord of the Rings is very sincere in a way that something like a Marvel movie just isn't. You had, and this is just from the trailer in No Way Home, you had that little bit where Peter and friends are making fun of Doc Ock's name, of Dr. Otto Octavius. Oh, it's funny because it's alliteration and it has oct in it, and you have 8 arms. Oh, well, yes, I know, but we get it. Why are you making fun of yourself? Stop. Everything has to be these days, it seems, layered in irony, and there can be no simple sincerity.
I hear
What's
reconstruction
going
is
on here?
progressing well in Kirkwall.
I know things are bad there.
Okay,
I wasn't trying to.
You
Everyone's
weren't
making
trying
friends.
to remind me how bad it is in Kirkwall, so you decided to talk about it?
About its recovery.
What you're talking about are the buildings, and even that will take years. People don't recover so easily.
especially when they're dead, or when they're driven off, like Hawke. Okay. Kevin says, I'm also highly aware of situational temperaments. So it served my purposes well to change from this or that temperament in order to connect. The social chameleon thing is very useful, I have to say. There is, though, a danger of losing yourself in that.
These must be the missing soldiers.
If you're too willing to adapt
I will
yourself,
see that their families are notified when we return.
if you're too willing to adapt yourself and your own temperaments, for the people around you, then you might lose track of who you are and your own
It looks like the bandits are camped further along the beach.
your own innate nature, what you really are.
Our men were murdered by
Was
a
it
group
Terry
called the
Pratchett?
Blades of Hysteria.
Careful who you tend to be,
It
or
seems
who
there's
you
a way
pretend to
to
be.
challenge their leader.
That sort of thing.
Naming themselves after the sword that killed Andraste. Ambitious.
Ooh, fire staff. She needs that. Yeah, nice. Nope. Does this do? Yeah, let's do that. But yeah, I think that is a real concern. It's a real potential problem, at least, of sort of losing yourself by trying to wear too many masks, so to speak. Not necessarily literally, although I mean, there's that concern as well, the sort of dehumanization of literally obscuring one's face. But that's a separate issue. But I do think, like I said, that there's a real potential danger, at least, to losing oneself in the process of conforming. Even if it's fully voluntary, even if it's not like against one's own, against one's principles or anything like that. Even if it's wholly innocent, in objective normative terms, it can still lead to that sort of losing part of who you are in that sense. And it says you can lose who you are, but I'm a chess player. I play at least 3 moves ahead. You can translate that skill into personal relationships. You can, but again, there's I think there's at least potentially a similar problem there. Of treating what ought to be genuine relationships in a sort of mercenary way, a gaming way. Right? It's the same criticism you might have of somebody who treats friends economically, let's say, something like that, where friends are merely friends of mutual benefit, or worst case scenario, selfish benefit. But let's just assume mutual benefit for the sake of charity, which is good. That's great and all, but it can potentially be missing out on something much greater. You're on fire.
Make it take you.
Okay, let's wait for my ability to recharge. Nope. Yeah, missed the block. Geez, another one? Cannot believe there's another one of those in the chat. Eric could kill it again. All of the very weird broken URLs, too. Stuff that I don't actually recognize in any way. Strange. Very strange. Alright. Let's see here. First of all, let's level up. We can do that now. Nah. Let's go with Assassinate. Okay. Vivienne. Do her some fire stuff. Kevin says, I think this is where the vulnerability of feelings becomes pertinent to people who tend towards philosophical reflection. Is our intention genuine? I think it can be as long as the wait for you to continue. Oh, right. It was only I leveled up. By the way, I tried very hard to go edit the save and change our actual character name to Sable. But apparently you can change the title, the name of your save file. Hard and high down. I'll do this in a second. You can change the name of your save file, but not the name of your actual character in any way whatsoever. At least not the way I can find. Which is a damn shame. Anyway. Okay, so continuing what Kevin said, he said, I think it can be so long as the forward thinking is done with the good of the other in mind. Yeah, that's true. It can be. It can still be somewhat deceptive, which has its own issues. And it even can be self-deceptive if you're not careful. But I think you're right. You can mitigate that. Okay, here we go. Magistrate Dunwald's butler had the air of a man who had never risen before dawn in his life. He stared down his nose at Donna Brenikovic and his partner Jevlin, as if he were on some lofty balcony above them, instead of standing in the parlor in his dressing gown. The magistrate is indisposed. This can wait until a reasonable hour. He gestured for the guards to see themselves out. The magistrate is dead, Don corrected him. Wake the household. As the butler left, Javelin shifted uneasily in his new armor. Shouldn't the captain be here? You want to go back to the barracks? Be my guest, Donnan said with a shrug, only half listening as he studied the collection displayed in the room. A dozen ancient swords lay nestled in display cases. Protected from dust and prying fingers, he moved to lift the lid of the nearest one. Javelin started to protest, but then the doors opened. She had eyes the color of topaz and dark hair that fell across her brow like sword strokes. She strolled into the parlor with such dignified elegance that Donnan didn't realize for several minutes that she was clad in a housecoat and not a ball gown. You have news about my husband? What's Seamus done this time? Forget to pay his bill at the Rose? She seated herself and indicated the guards do the same. Donnan nodded to the recruit to speak up. Javelin started. No, Lady Dunwald. Actually, she interrupted him with a wave. Marielle, please. Lady Marielle, your husband has been murdered. Donnan took over for the flustered recruit. When did you see him last? Marielle stared at him, her jewel-colored eyes wide, and her voice cracked on. Murdered? Seamus? But a heartbeat, maybe two, passed, and again he became the perfect picture of noble grace. I saw him at dinner, she answered in a tone anyone might use to comment on the weather. He left before dusk. He said he was going to play Wicked Grace with the Comte de Fauve. Do you know of anyone who might have wanted him dead? Javelin asked softly. People want magistrates dead on principle, she gave a wry smile, but her voice grew pained. Criminals, political rivals, even people in his district who disagreed with him, drifted off lost in thought, and then turned to Donnan, eyes blazing. A week ago, a letter came. Vague threats. I thought it was nothing, but it upset Seamus. Who sent it? Donnan asked. It wasn't signed, but the seal was 6 crossed swords. End of chapter 2. I love Hardin Hightown. I love Hardin Hightown. Alright, anyway. Glad I found that. I really hope, I think, and I really hope that you necessarily find them in order. Like in chronological order. Like there's no chance of accidentally finding chapter 4 next or something like that. I'm afraid that might be a possibility though, and I don't want that. I think it gives them to you in order wherever you happen across the next one, but I'm not sure about that. Not sure about that. All right, where to? Isarian camp. What's this? Shards? No. Wardens. Yeah, let's find the wardens next. If we come across that... there we go. If we come across that... that rift, all the better. Hi, goat. No? Man, I keep thinking that they're going to give me meat and pelts or whatever. I need pelts for crafting. Eventually going to need a lot of them. Anyway. Oh, dragon. Fighting a giant? Yep, dragon fighting a giant.
Seeker, you're the dragon expert. What do we do now?
Don't get killed by either of them.
Ooh. I agree. That seems wise. Okay. Don't get killed is always great advice when dealing with dragons. At least it seems like it to me. What's that? Yeah, Alfred. Fine. Yeah, it's for healing potions, but yeah. Another time. What's this? Yeah, that was nice. All right. Again, more lore books. Now, that's another thing. If there's any of this stuff you would actually like me to go back and read. If anything catches your eye, you want me to go back and read, all of this is accessible in the Codex, and I'd be happy to do it. I just don't want to, spend the time doing so by default. Ah, Jesus. All right, whatever. Yeah, I don't want to spend the time doing it by default if I'm just going to be standing here reading Codex entries literally the entire stream, because otherwise I would be. That is actually one thing I really like about BioWare games and a lot of modern RPGs in general, but I think BioWare really pioneered this, going back to Baldur's Gate, and then just increasingly more so, doing it with more and more practice as they get through to now. Having lore presented extensively in optional format in Codex entries, where it's there if you want it there, but you can explore it at your convenience, rather than having to go through it, or rather than having to have it presented in a how do I put this, in a narrative format, because honestly, exposition is so hard to do well in the narrative, like included in the narrative. Otherwise, it can so easily get clunky and start to feel pointless and like you're adding for the sake of adding and all of that stuff. This method for doing so, this method for world building and lore and all that, is incredibly effective and incredibly useful, because it allows you to let the player explore as much or as little of the world as they want to, at their leisure, at whatever time that they like. So I can do whatever I want to as far as exploring the lore on stream, even just here in the game. But I can also just read it off the stream, and even in our context, in the context of streaming the game, I can explain it to you. I can give you a short version of it. I can talk about it, rather than having to read everything and deliver it in a really clunky sort of way. Anyway, I really like this. I really like the Codex system.
What is that?
Oh, a thing. Let's mark our territory first. The stone tree. Again, something I can read if you guys want, but I don't have to. Puzzle time! This is a puzzle I want to steal for D&D, because it's a really cool puzzle. Astrariums allow you to unlock the secrets of the heavens. Recreate the image of a constellation by connecting the stars without making the same line twice. Uh-huh. Okay. So I know we have to start here. Okay. Okay. These two are not used. Those are just distractors? Yes, those are just for distraction. So if I go... Oh, you can't see the pattern. You guys can't see the pattern. Whoop. While I'm doing this, so you can have some input, or so you can see what I'm after. See, these two are not part of it. Alright, so... If I go down, up, over, down... No. Yeah, okay. So if I do... I think this will work. Okay. And this one's a simple 1, 2, 5 up. Oh, wait, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's complex. It's more complicated than that. I think I can wing this, but I don't necessarily want to. So it looks like it goes here, there. Yeah, okay, cool. Oh, right. Already got that. There. There. And ready, set. Move me back down. Got it. Didn't get it. Crap. Oh. Got it. That was a hard one. Bellatanus, referred to as the Maiden. Common parlance. Depictions of the constellation Bellatanus vary from age to age. Blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Where does this lead?
Ooh. Oh god, that's right. I forgot that the actual quest behind these is actually a lot more complicated than I remembered.
You must see the value in restoring the circles, Cassandra.
Provided they fulfill their purpose. Too many have suffered since the Mage Rebellion began, but we cannot ignore the abuses that prompted it. Without change, we risk repeating the events at Kirkwall.
Or recreating its opposite. An overly lenient circle is a comparable threat. Kirkwall was lamentable, but it was the blithe misuse of power, not restrictions, that led to the first blight.
Well, yes, so there has to be something of a balance, right? Come on. There we go. Okay. I think that so the Mage Templar thing. There's a real to address both of their points, right? The biggest problem, or at least a significant problem, is that there is an extreme amount of power, both physical power and political power, on both sides of the issue. Right. That said, there is a far more significant political push against the mages than for them. And so I think that is why in our current state of things, it's much more, I at least am much more pro-mage. I think most people are much more pro-mage, because they are by far the more oppressed group, particularly from a political standpoint. Now, it's interesting to say, an interesting thing to point out, how someone so powerful in raw, strength of arms or the equivalent, reality warping magic, can be oppressed. But I mean, there's two aspects of this. First of all, the Templars are specifically trained and, frankly, mutated to be able to stop mages, to beat mages in a fight. And because of that, that allows them the sort of political clout to be able to push mages around. Sort of by law, broadly speaking. No. Oh, I bet that's where the Astrarium opens. Okay, fine. Anyway. But because of that, it seems... I personally am very much concerned about political oppression. What is this? Can I do anything with this? No? Okay. I'm personally far more concerned about political oppression than I am about, how do I say, broader institutional forces or even individual power. Oh, hey, there we go.
We should look around.
Power in the sense of the capacity to get things done, particularly in a violent way. Because I think that sort of thing, power in that sense, can be restrained properly. Constrained, I should say. Whereas political power is, by its very nature, unconstrained. To quote Firefly, Shepherd Book says, a government is a body of people, notably ungoverned. It's a who watches the watchers problem, and with a political sovereign, you have a system whereby necessarily there is a watcher that is unwatched. Necessarily. Unless you include something like, oh, well, what if people rebel, or something like that as a check or a balance? And that's a hell of a violent release valve. That's not a good release valve. Evan says, I like mages, but I also have a bent towards Templars. Something draws me towards the Templars, and I can't pinpoint it. Is it the aesthetics or the name? It's got to be one of the two. Grey Warden's Journal. I grow more convinced that if she was ever here, he is now long gone. Okay, anyway, you get the point. Still, it would not do for us to miss him through laziness, and he was one of our most skilled warriors. If anyone could hide himself here, it would be he. One of the fishermen shows promise with a spear, and he has shoulders like an ox from throwing nets all day. He asked about joining the Grey Wardens. Under other circumstances, I would be honored to take a worthy and willing volunteer. Now, my orders did not say whether I should seek new recruits, even with our circumstances, or because of them, I suppose. It did not hurt his cause. He was easy to look at, and clearly wished to know more about the Dalish. The Darkspawn are louder than I thought at first. Constant whisper at the back of my mind makes it difficult to sense them as easily as I usually do. They're near the surface. Perhaps bandits are not the worst these people have to face.
The Wardens were here at some point.
Huh. That seems to be implying that there are Darkspawn near the surface here. There shouldn't be. It's not a blight. That's very troubling. Alright. Oh, wait. I accidentally put up quest marker. There we go. Both? Yeah, it could be both. What are you doing here? I like that assassinate ability. Oh, hey, there's more of them. I'm still missing a lot. Like, way more than... I mean, obviously way more than the previous games. Oh, Kevin asked, why are Templars there? Meaning what? Why do they exist as an order? Or why are they in a particular location? Darn it. Okay, fine, whatever. May have to clarify your question there, because I don't want to go on a super long tangent about one, and then you were asking about the other. Because I can go on a tangent about either, really. So, like, are you asking an existential question, or are you asking about a locational question? I kind of just should fall down this cliff, because I'm pretty sure it's at the bottom of it, but I don't want to test that theory yet. Oh! That's a lot of fall damage. That's more fall damage than a healing potion can handle. I wasn't even falling, I was sliding. Why do they exist? Okay. So the Templars are there to stop mages, basically. They're there ostensibly to protect mages from themselves, but in effect that usually turns out to mean that they are there to prevent mages from being possessed, to protect mages from protect mages from going on a rampage, protect mages from basically to counteract the dangers of mages, the dangers presented by mages. They are a result of the bit from the Chant of Light, which is hotly contested, especially between the mainline chantry and the Tevinter chantry. Of magic exists to serve man, not to rule him. And the mainline chantry, what the Tevinters call the Orlesian chantry, interpret that to mean that magic and therefore mages are not supposed to rule. That allowing mages to rule, especially through magic, is dangerous and contrary to the will of the Maker. By contrast, the Tevinter chantry interprets that to mean that magic is to be used for the service of both the mage and of society. It's to be put to good use. But that we shouldn't be drawn into the temptations of power. Right? And that's a charitable reading of both. That is a charitable reading of both interpretations. I do think that the Tevinter reading of it is perfectly plausible, although we are going to come across a Tevinter squad mate, Tevinter companion, who we're going to be able to talk to about some of this. So I don't want to get into that in too much detail. But suffice it to say that by the mainline chantry interpretation, the Templars were established to counteract upstart mages, but then also, more importantly, mages who get possessed by demons. Templars are specifically trained to put down abominations, demon-possessed mages, which are extremely dangerous. Alright, so this, and then if there's more I can say, if there's more you'd like me to say, I'd be happy to. So, he's not there. We've searched thoroughly, and we will now move on. How many days have I wasted here with whispers lurking in the back of my mind on this mad assignment? I pray we have more luck as we head south. After speaking with the other wardens, I told the fishermen about the darkspawn we sense beneath the earth. They may not burst forth from the ground today or tomorrow, but I fear it will not be long. And we will not be here when they finally surface. The fishermen were grieved at the news. They decided to make for West Hill, which is safe for now. As for the fisherman who was interested in joining, I convinced him that now was not the time. Others might have told him otherwise, but he's too young to make such a sacrifice simply because he does not wish to throw nets into the water all his life. We shared one last night by the campfire, and he went his own way with a smile, humming the song of Andrul as he left. Okay. Was that... Should I have been reading that in a more feminine voice? Was there hanky-panky being implied there? I don't know. Hard to tell. Hard to really tell. There's a camp right here, so we should check that out. Kevin says, essentially Templars are the static check on potentially chaotic. Yeah, something like that. But not chaotic in general, specifically mages. Specifically mages.
Camp or keep moving.
No, set up camp. Specifically a check on chaotic mages. Mages who either become destructive through their own will, or mages who are possessed by demons. They're equal parts police against potential magical tyrants and exorcists. The trouble is that exorcism in this context necessarily has to involve killing. There's no way to exorcise a demon from an abomination, in other words, a possessed mage, without killing the mage. It's impossible. As far as anyone knows, it's basically impossible. It's been done in some ways, but it's been very rare and incredibly difficult. It usually requires either a copious amount of lyrium or blood magic, which has its own problems. Its blood magic can itself attract demons. So, that's that. So, in general, the Templars are not supposed to be charged with sort of keeping order in the world. Even if they sometimes sort of unlawfully take on that role. There we go. Goodbye. And I mean, a good example of this would be on Dragon Age 2. Basically all of Dragon Age 2. But in particular, when the head of the Templars in Kirkwall basically takes over, everyone saw that, even a lot of the Templars saw that as a grave injustice, an abuse of power of the Templars. Because again, like I said, the Templars are their whole purpose is to do with mages, not about just keeping order in general. Because if they start trying to take over, then they are incredibly powerful. Right? They're very well-trained warriors with incredibly good equipment and organization. Plus, they have a form of magic. They're capable of nullifying magic. And that involves specific semi-magical techniques itself. Kevin says, that's why I tend towards Templars. They essentially are order keepers in their particular task. That's true. In general, yes. But at the same time, in the ideal, mages are scholars. They're magical researchers more than anything else, right? The proper social role of mages within the Chantry is that of, really, that of a scholar. The Mage Rebellion is just as much of an aberration of what mages are supposed to be as Templars literally rebelling against the Chantry and seeking their own power. Even if that power is ostensibly for the protection of the world and the protection of the mages and all of that, they do so in an increasingly violent manner. There we go. They do so in an increasingly violent manner and in a way that is contrary to their fundamental mandate. So, that's... Ow, I just forgot to block. Ooh, that was nice. Both are, in their current state, are aberrations from their natural function. Also, yes, Kevin, I've recognized this in you, I think, in our various conversations. Oops. Kevin says, my defect, which is excess of order towards oppression. I understand the temptation. I'm not drawn to it particularly myself. I tend to be, I would say temperamentally, but that's not quite the case, and I'll talk about this as well. But I think I tend to be more. I tend to err on the side of liberty, even when it is an error. And this is really this can be a real problem. Right? I tend to take So, for example, conversation I was having actually just today about the whether we have an obligation to obey laws which are not in alignment with ethical norms, but which are not directly, which are not themselves directly opposed, or do not directly, how do I put this? That don't themselves compel us to do something unethical, right? So the default, right? Taking laws to be lawful by default, or taking authority to be legitimate by default, that sort of thing, which is something I have a problem with, because I by default, and I think I can fairly square this with say Catholic social teaching and legal theory and all that, at least under one circumstance, right? Because, right, I don't dispute that we have a moral obligation, a strong moral obligation, to obey legitimate authority, even governmental authority. The difference is that my presumption is against the legitimacy of worldly authority. I presume that a state is illegitimate, unless I have very good reason to believe otherwise. Now, this is atypical, but because the principle involved is that legitimate authority is to be obeyed, the question really does become, is this authority legitimate? And, if the answer is no, then no, we have no obligation to obey, and in fact may have an obligation to disobey. Now, that part is a little bit sketchy. As far as an obligation to disobey. That I think only applies to unjust laws promulgated by an illicit authority, that sort of thing. But I tend to think that we have a something like an obligation to disobey unjust laws. And the reason I have this sort of presupposition, or this default position, this default view, I don't. He's never lightly injured, like never. Yeah, let's do that. Sandra. I need stuff to generate guard. Yeah, let's do that. But I tend to, like I said, I tend to have the default assumption that authority, that political power does not possess authority. Because it might, but it also might not. And if you're going to convince me that I ought to obey someone, there should be a strong presumption that I don't have that positive obligation. There should be a presumption that there is no obligation until an obligation can be shown. And I would, again, hold that typically applies to something like the state. And if we look at real-world examples, we can find countless real-world examples of illegitimate states because they promulgate unjust laws. Kevin says, this is an interesting example because I disagree with you, I think. For example, a speed limit. It's not against divine law to attempt to defend the safety of others. It's also for the divine law to the consideration of the safety of others is legitimate. Cool. Did you know that speed limits are intentionally set at least in Florida, by the Department of Transportation, intentionally set on highways 10 to 15 miles an hour below the recommended safe speeds by the engineers who design highways. And this is for two reasons. One, working on the assumption that people will be driving about 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. And two, for purposes of revenue generation, because a ticket for driving 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, or more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, which, I will remind you, will feel natural, gains a lot more revenue for the state than driving, 5 or so, less than 5 typically, over the speed limit. So the state is incentivized to set speed limits arbitrarily low on the assumption that people will disobey the speed limits and drive faster anyway, and that they can collect revenue through tickets for people driving at that higher speed. Are you sure that speed limits are actually an attempt to defend the safety of others? Now, I will say, driving safely is an independent moral obligation, right? Defending the safety of others is an independent moral obligation that you and I have. I have an obligation not to drive recklessly or drive dangerously. Sure. I mean, that's its own separate thing. Positive law is not needed for that. And insofar as positive law coincides with that positive obligation that I already have, I have an obligation to obey it, not because it's positive law, but because I already have an obligation to drive safely. However, when my obligation to drive safely conflicts with my obligation to obey the speed limit, I clearly ought to obey my obligation to drive safely, because the highway is designed for a safe speed approximately 10 miles an hour above the listed speed limit. So I have a stronger obligation to disobey a speed limit, a posted speed limit, than I have to obey it. Now, questions of prudence apply here. Can I get away with it? Or will it further damage myself and my family? The obligations I have, the particular obligations I have. Am I better off imposing a danger on the people around me rather than and out of fear of allowing myself to be significantly impeded by the state? That's a matter of prudence, not a matter for solid moral norms. I love when people bring up speed limits, because I actually kind of know a lot about speed limits in Florida. Because I actually campaigned for a guy named Adrian Wiley, who ran for governor in 2010, I believe it was, 10 or 12, who to this day drives without a license as a protest of the unconstitutional Real ID system, and has yet to be brought to court with it, because the courts don't want to challenge him on it, because they know it'll get the whole thing overturned. Because the courts know that it's unconstitutional, and they know that he has massive legal resources to fight it. The guy is a hero. Adrian Wiley, if you're not familiar, if you haven't heard of him, check him out. Brilliant. Kevin says, speed of travel has an objective and calculable effect on the event of collision. Yeah, exactly. And so, if the safe speed of traveling is on a certain road above that which is required by law, is limited by law, which obligation do you obey if the obligations conflict with one another? That's nice. I kind of want Wall of Fire, though. Wall of Fire is really nice. Yeah, clean burn. All right, cool. Now, there's the other completely independent question of what obligation we have to mitigate risk, rather than simply to not harm others. That is huge. That is a huge discussion If you have a strong obligation to mitigate risk, the risk you impose on others, that also means you have an obligation not to wear a seatbelt. Because seatbelts, while they reduce overall traffic fatalities by making car crashes safer, they increase the prevalence of car crashes themselves, and therefore increase the likelihood of death if you are a pedestrian or on a motorcycle. So if you have a strong moral obligation to sacrifice your safety and convenience to some degree for the safety and convenience of others, in this sense, then you ought not to wear a seatbelt. Again, I don't think you have that kind of an obligation. I think that kind of obligation is quite frankly irreconcilable with our ability to make independent decisions and our interdependence. So, I mean, take from that what you will. I don't think that we have such an obligation to mitigate the risk we impose upon others. I just think we have an obligation not to harm others, and if we do harm others, even accidentally, then what we're doing is effectively we are indebting ourselves to somebody. I really need to make a lecture on this. I've written on it. I've written a good length paper on sort of libertarian legal theory justification for accidental torts, which is really hard to enforce by non-libertarian legal norms, because there's no mens rea at all for something completely accidental. But we still have an obligation. We still incur an obligation. So, yeah. Anyway, I think it's. I'm also planning on that being a section of my dissertation. I'm going to shorten the paper that I wrote and plug it in there. I haven't shortened it properly yet, but it's there. I may do a video on this if you're interested in the subject. Again, throw money at me, and I might do things for you. If I might, I mean I will, because I respect the market. Anyway, so Kevin said in response, it's reasonable to err on the side of law because the intention is to mitigate risk by calculating the margin of disobedience. Risk in what sense? If you mean mitigate the risk of retaliation by the state, which is incredibly powerful and incredibly violent, then yes, I certainly agree with that. It is reasonable to err on the side of obedience for fear of retaliation. However, you're assuming the claims of the state to protect the common good are honest, and that is intolerably naive. If instead we presume that the state is just like any other private actor, which it is, and those who act on behalf of the state are acting out of their own self-interest for their own benefit, then clearly we have no obligation to obey. And clearly we have no reason to assume that they are acting for the purpose of for the sake of the common good. Even insofar as we can comprehensively pinpoint what the common good is. So again, it comes down to the question of prudence versus what would be the term? There is a term, kind of. There are a lot of terms, kind of, but I've never liked many of them. Versus, let's just say, versus the other virtues, justice, let's say, in particular. Right, so there are times, and these are probably most times, where it is prudent to obey a morally neutral or even marginally unjust law, simply because retaliation, the fear of retaliation is very real, very significant, and very dangerous to you and those you care about. and have an obligation to protect and all that. However, still doesn't mean you don't have at least a soft obligation to disobey when possible. So I don't know which one you were going for there, but I hope I kind of expounded my view on that matter in particular. Your Warden Journal. Still no trace of him, though I feel the darkspawn in the ground below. Could he be lurking close to them? Perhaps preparing to die with honor. I doubt it, but it's the only lead we have so far. I confess that this seems a fool's errand at times, given how much is at stake. We saw bandits harassing the fishermen, and we intervened. The fishermen thanked us, though I fear the bandits will return again in greater numbers. We will not always be here to help. Nevertheless, as long as we are here, the fishermen are safe. The dreams continue, as they do every night. They make it hard for us to sleep, but we must persist. Hopefully the others will have found a solution by the time we return. In the meantime, I sing the Song of Andruel to myself to clear my mind as best I can.
This belongs to the Wardens.
Yeah. See, this is, Are they looking for the hero of Ferelden? They make it sound like they're looking for the hero of Ferelden. Dalen Amell. Kevin asked, what benefit does the state have in mitigation of damage to property and health by imposing a speed limit? Revenue. Like I said, revenue. Revenue from speeding tickets. With the plausible deniability of having a common good aimed at. But if it were purely aimed at the common good, they would set the speed limit at or slightly above the recommended safe speed by the architects and engineers who design the road. Uh-oh. Hello. Hi, bear. Teleport's behind you. Again, I think that honestly just falsifies the that almost completely falsifies the presumption that the state is acting purely for the sake of the common good. In a case where, and quite honestly, you'll be hard-pressed to find a case where a law where this isn't the case. But in a case where the state stands to gain, or agents of the state stand to gain from a law being imposed, even if that is the maintenance and accumulation of power, that's a clear enough motivation. For public choice theory, in particular. I'll see if I can find a talk or two. If you're interested in, what would you prefer? Something that's audiovisual or something that's written for public choice theory, which is kind of the theoretical socioeconomic basis for this line of reasoning that I'm using here. Because I can find either, I'm sure. There's plenty of articles on it, but there's also plenty of talks and lectures and such, presentations. Roger Garrison, I think, has done a lot of good ones. What was his name? What's the other guy's name? Gordon. Gordon's his last name, I think. I'll think of it. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot on this subject. But honestly, starting to analyze the actions of the state as if it were a private actor with interests completely changes the paradigm by which you're examining it. Like, by which you're examining all socio-political questions. We searched the area but found no sign. If he was here, it was some time ago. Fishermen in this area are friendly. Unlike some, they remember how the Grey Wardens fought to save Ferelden in the last blight. But they had little. They shared some of their catch to give us a better supper than we had tasted in weeks. They even deferred to me once they saw that I commanded the other wardens, and there were few, even in Ferelden, who would watch an elf command men without pause. They're friendly folk. After all this land has suffered in the past years, I hope they find some peace.
The Wardens must have moved on.
Yeah.
Moved on to where, I wonder?
They're searching for someone.
On Warden business, maybe? Secret missions or whatever it is they get up to when there's no blight.
Whoever the Wardens are seeking, he's led them away from here.
I think it's Dalen. There, we need that. Yeah, let's do that, and then let's get out of here. There's not much more to do, so I don't want to do that. I want to go down the other way. Other way! I really hope this fall damage doesn't kill me. Whee! says, I swear I remember having more problems dealing with bears than most demons. Their hit points pool is insanely high. Yes, it is. I'm playing on easy, so I can talk to you guys while I fight a little bit. But yes, bears, oh my god. Bears are comically beefy. Like, it's a meme how tough bears are. I've mentioned this before, it kind of reminds me of the time in our Mutants and Masterminds game where we had a flying brick type character who was just like, who had strength and toughness roughly equivalent to Superman, or pretty close to it, just without the sort of invulnerability that Superman has. And she punched a bear in the jaw and it came back swinging. And the player who was just like, wait a minute, that bear basically just took a punch from Superman. What happened? And I was like, I don't know, it's fucking magic or something, because I hadn't thought about it. I had statted it out raw. If I'm being perfectly honest. But I also wanted to oh, hold on. Give me one moment. Erica needs help with Michael. I'm going to set up camp while I do this.
Nothing to report, sir.
Hi, I'm back. Sorry about that. Michael's causing trouble.
Have you heard from any of
My
your Kirkwood
son.
associates, Varric?
You're asking me? So you don't read my letters?
You're no longer my prisoner, much as you like to act like it.
Yet I still get all the suspicion.
Still love the banter,
I
by
am
the way.
not without sympathy, especially given recent events.
Why, Seeker, I would never accuse you of having sympathy. By the way, I tend to refer to my associates as friends. Maybe you're not familiar with the concept.
Alright. If you, disgusting noise. If you do hear, him whining in the background,
Nothing to report.
it is, oh yeah, let's do that. It is entirely because Big Mike, as Kevin says, is in the bath, right on the other side of that closet. And he's kind of yeah, let's do that. kind of made a mess, let's just say. He's developed the very, very bad habit
Dispatch for you.
Of
What is it?
This may be worthwhile.
taking off poopy diapers, let's say. Among a few other things, he's even started peeing in places. Oh, there he is. He doesn't want to be in the bath. He does not want to be bathed. Poor boy. As you can hear, he's complaining. I mean, understandably, really. Can I stop doing these?
What is it?
I'm going to use up all my resources that I've been collecting. Oh my gosh. My poor dude. Alright. Now he doesn't want to be bathed, that's all. Alrighty then. Alright, I could go and do that, but I'm not gonna. Could go do that, but I'm not gonna. Did an Andraste. Didn't do this one. No, I did do that one. I didn't do this one. Could do that, but I'm not gonna. I'm going back to Haven for now. See if there's anything to do here. I know there are. There are some other. There's some other war table missions to do, so I can do some of those. And I can talk to Iron Bull. Iron Bull is here. We can talk to him. See what his deal is. Will someone Google Iron Bull voice actor? It's gonna drive me nuts. He is over here.
They've got good form. Cullen's putting his Templar training to good use.
Did Cullen tell you he was a Templar? He's not wearing the armor.
He didn't have to. Might not be a Templar shield, but it's a Templar holding it. He angles the shield just a bit down. Helps direct fire or acid away, so it doesn't spray right into your face. Canary learned the same thing when we trained to fight Tevinter mages. Your Templar's doing good work.
Nice.
I'm impressed by what Cullen has accomplished with the troops.
Damn right. It takes time to build a group into a team, but he's got their loyalty. Now he just needs them to make a decent shield wall, and they'll be good to go.
That is important. Formation fighting.
The Inquisition right now isn't on the front line. It's at the top. You've got no leader, no Inquisitor.
The Inquisition has done.
Ready Prince Jr. Yes, yes it is. Thank you, Dedrick. Yes, thank you.
Because all we've needed so far is damage control, reaction. A group can handle that. Once you've sealed the breach, it's going to be time to make decisions. Someone's going to have to step up.
Thank you.
Who knows? Maybe you sealed the breach. The Chantry gets off its ass and all those soldiers go home and get fat.
Nice.
You think?
That'd be good.
It could happen. It won't. But it could.
Love it. All right, let's sell some junk that we don't need. Let's equip Bull properly. Actually, wait. Let's equip everyone first. See what we have and see what we need. Evelyn has okay, it's perfectly fine. Cassandra, I think, is perfectly fine. Shield? Templar shield's better. Oh, she can't use it yet. Instead, she's using her pottery shard. Okay. Sarah. That is better, but new. That's better. Reinforced longbow. That's better, but I might need to use it. I made this for myself because I don't like Sarah. No offense. Ooh, that is a nice frost staff that I am going to give to Solus. Actually. No, I'm not. Wrath of Leviathan is actually better. It increases stats a whole lot. Or wait, no, that's because of the components. Hoarfrost staff is actually better. Only if I modify it, though. Not worth it. Varric, I'm not going to change anything, obviously. Iron Bowl, yes, I am. Dwarven Rock Crusher. I'm going to make him a cool weapon. No, I'm not. I'm never actually going to use him. Now, I'm going to keep him with Bull's Edge for now. That's actually pretty good, and it's AoE damage, so that's fine. If we ever wind up taking him, he's got something good. All right, there we go. Nothing we really need as far as armor goes. He needs... No, that's ridiculous. Heavy armor. Oh, that's better. Yeah, that's much better. Oh, that's cool looking, though. That's real cool. Kind of crap, but it's cool. Reinforced Defender, yep. Sarah. It's medium, and she has medium. Vivienne. No. Wait. No, again, it's a Kunari thing. It's weird. Elysian Headed. Let's leave that. That's cool. Solus. Cowl. We should make him new armor. Varric. That looks ridiculous. Bull. Give him Chakra Tar. That's actually kind of appropriate. It changes his nipple placement. But what else are you going to do? Whatever. I don't care. And his skin tone. Significantly. That's so weird. God, that's so weird. His entire body model changes. No. He doesn't wear defender armor. It's so weird. No. I don't like it. Cassandra. Constitution. Good. A ring? Critical? Nah. Sarah, I'm never going to use. Vivienne, I will. What's this? Oh. Life Ward, that's fine. He's good. Varric. Ring. Grenades belt, that's good. Iron Bull. What does she have? Guard belt? No, that's good. That's good. That's better. Evelyn, what does she have? Potions, no. Sunder. All right. Everyone but Sarah. She likes grenades.
Another time, then.
Did that not do its thing? How does this work? Why? Why does this not do its thing? It's supposed to give me +1 power. Whatever. Whatever. There. Fine. Actually, wait, no. Do that to Bull. Melee defense. Alright. Do we need anything for anyone? No. Varric can use more armor. You know what? Screw it. We're fine. We're good enough. I will probably do some of this crafting stuff off stream, just so you guys don't have to sit through all of it again. Once again, of course. Okay. Let's go to the war table. I would very much like better or more cool-looking armor for Sable. But we got what we got, I suppose. Next quest is going to be to go back to the Hinterlands.
Master Harris says the new recruits will have armor ready soon.
To get Blackwall. And that should be it. We have, honestly, kind of all we have time for this time. But, Erica apologizes for the previous interruption. No, it's not your fault. Not really at all. We'll do that eventually. Nothing to do there. There's a bunch to do in the Hinterlands, a little bit to do on the Storm Coasts. But not yet. I do want to save, though. Like I said, it's not your fault that Michael is being obstinate and naked. Ooh, right, we have a perk point.
There's nothing to do with fairness. We simply can't accommodate them if they bring that many servants.
I will speak to the Duchess. She can be reasoned
Should do
with after a fashion.
knowledge things first. Then experience things, then utility stuff. We have nobility knowledge. Okay. Let's do history knowledge. Yeah, that'll be fine. Alright, stuff to do in Orlais. Choose a successor in Leeds. Part of a Ben Hassrath report noting the current fight for succession, better the first time, in Leeds, which has been without a direct ruler since Duke Ramash died early in the Orlesian Civil War. The duchy will go to one of 3 members of the dead duke's family, all of whom have possible claims to the position due to the complex nature of Orlesian politics. His cousin, Carolina, already a duchess by marriage, his daughter Monette, whose claim is muddied by her youthful naivete and the fact that her father pushed her into a life of service to the Chantry after his wife's death, likely to protect her from the dangers of the game, and his brother Jean Gaspard, an ambitious and cunning man who has been searching for power. Carolina is capable and not overly interested in overseeing Leeds personally. Monette would be the most easily manipulated, but less likely to be useful. Jean Gaspard would be difficult to manipulate and could present a threat if he succeeds his brother. Any of the 3 candidates could become a valuable ally to the Inquisition, but the other 2 must be removed from play first. I think we're going to push for Carolina. Does a queen apologize? Apparently. Manette would do better in the Chantry than in the game. I can see that she is encouraged to take vows. Okay. I can destroy Carolina's marriage with 4 words and the proper glove left on the proper table. Oh, no, don't do that. That's not right. Cullen, Jean Gaspard is a chevalier and a capable military leader. If we want him removed, I dare say we might recruit him for ourselves. That's a good idea. Do it.
To work?
Commander Cullen, it would be an honor to serve the Inquisition and prove the mettle of the Orlesian Chevaliers by doing the Maker's work. I accept your generous offer wholeheartedly and will arrive in good time with those men loyal to me. It would be my privilege to order the Inquisition's troops into holy battle against those who would threaten the order of the Empire. In the Maker's grace, Lord Jean Gaspard of Leeds. Nice! Oops, we already did that. Nice. That was a good play. Okay. With Jean Gaspard removed from play, Carolina or Monette will almost certainly be the next Duchess of Leeds. As the struggle intensifies, Carolina has sent agents to cause a scandal, judging that Monette does not have the skill to avoid such snares. Monette has relied upon Mother Renette, her mentor in the Chantry, for advice on how to strengthen her claim to the duchy. The revered mother, in an attempt to protect Monette, has sent mercenaries to threaten Carolina's life. Carolina has overplayed her hand by giving her agents so much information. I can turn that on her and leave her reputation in tatters. Our troops can easily stop the mercenaries, and Carolina's plan should put her in position to be the next Duchess. I think we would be better off with Carolina. So, Cullen, finish this up. Commander Cullen, my husband informed me that I have your Inquisition soldiers to thank for the timely intervention that protected my carriage from an attack by bandits. Not long ago, the roads are indeed dangerous these days in the Duchess of Leeds. I will do my best to improve their safety. Please convey my gratitude to all who helped ensure my safety in these trying times. Yours, Duchess Carolina of Leeds. Ooh, we got the Ancestral Blade of Leeds. Nice. Nice. Nothing to do. Let's go to the Hinterlands. With Varric. Cassandra. And we're going to bring Solus this time. Because we're going to be meeting with rebel mages. And I don't want to bring Vivienne to deal with rebel mages. Do I? Ooh, I do. Actually, I do. I actually really do. That sounds awful and great. Let's do it. Sounds wildly inappropriate, which is perfect. Alrighty then. Oh, this is the lyrics to one of the little tavern songs, which again, I love the tavern songs in this game. All fruit and evergreen grown in open fields. Okay. Penitence Crossing. Ooh, good question. Kevin asks, do you trust the annulment process in the U.S.? I assume you mean marriage annulment like through canon courts. No. In general, I think that it's wildly abused by a lot of dishonest people. And that can, under some unfortunate circumstances, involve the tribunals themselves. That they are far too willing to play ball on behalf of people who want to exploit the system for their own, what they see as their own benefit. See, incorrectly, I should add. But what they see as their own benefit. I think it's tragic. The amount of annulments that happen for no good reason. There's a shard over there. So you know what? Yeah, let's get this shard. Then we'll go here, Hunger Pangs. And then we'll go here to meet Blackwall. We'll see how much time we have left after that. Should have time to do some more side questing and stuff. Probably. But yeah, I tend to think that the annulment process, the courts and everything involved, are corrupted, I think, largely by convenience. Probably mostly good intentions, honestly. I think that most of the people who are too lax and too willing to go along with the process and just get or grant an annulment, on both sides of the issue, I think that most of them probably have the best of intentions, because they probably are trying to allow people to... They're doing what they see as being helpful. Despite the fact that it's anything but. The dissolution of a marriage, particularly a marriage which is actually valid, is a horrible tragedy that should never be celebrated. But frankly, even a marriage which isn't valid, even if the tribunal winds up being correct, a more ethical course of action under most circumstances is to go through some manner of therapy, reconcile, and convalidate the marriage. If we find out that a marriage was invalid, fix it. Don't just drop it, because there are usually consequences of that marriage. You know, like children in a lot of cases. And that's horrible. It's kind of cool, but no. It's nice, but bronze, that's weird. Okay. Kevin says, I'm really annoyed because there's a 100% chance, there's a 100% babe that I like, and I'm pretty sure it's one of those situations, and I'm not willing to do the lax annulment thing. It can be as, I mean, it's a matter of whether, I think it's a matter of whether you're taking this, whether you are taking the process seriously. Most people go into an annulment process with the goal of an annulment in mind, not with the goal of finding out whether the marriage was valid or not in mind. In other words, not with the goal of finding out the truth, rather the goal of coming to the conclusion that they want for practical purposes. I think that there are certainly annulments which are perfectly justified, but that the canon courts are often, like I said, corrupted by convenience, things like that.
Mages, Templars, bandits, demons, making it hard for a man to hunt for his supper.
Here you go.
Here, maybe this will help.
Makes me want to punch things, Kevin says. Yeah, I get it.
I can fill these hungry bellies, give these folks some hope.
Institutional corruption is a terrible thing.
But no one else is helping like you lot. Maybe I was wrong.
That's especially the case in an intrinsically good institution like the church. Institutional corruption in an institution which is intrinsically good, is a terrible, terrible thing. How do we get there? I mean, we can fast travel. That's how. But yeah, the corruption of the greatest is the least, after all. Oh, sorry about the thud. But yeah, the corruption of the greatest is the least. It's an important principle to remember. Because it certainly applies in cases like that. Where we really do have to consider the terrible damage done by institutional corruption, especially of, like I said, an intrinsically good institution like the church. And I say this especially in cases where, for this example, let's assume an annulment in this case is justified, that the marriage is void, the marriage was invalid. If that's what you're talking about. I don't know for sure. But assuming that's what you're talking about, let's assume there was an invalid marriage. That's what happened. Marriage was not validly conferred. Fine. The very fact that there is such institutional corruption so as to cause you to doubt the reliability of a church institutional structure, like the annulment courts, that alone is horrible. Right? Even if you would, or maybe not you, but she, let's say, even if she would get a just ruling in a case, right, in a case of annulment hearing, even if she were to get a just ruling, there would be doubt cast upon that, primarily because there is obvious institutional corruption and obvious game playing with the annulment process, and everyone knows about it. Because everyone kind of knows about it, even just outcomes get questioned. Justly questioned, even. Like, reasonably questioned. It is perfectly reasonable to question the justice of an outcome of an annulment hearing. Unfortunately, that absolutely should not be the case, but it certainly is. And that's tragic. That's almost as tragic as the actual fact of the institutional corruption and its effects in general. Right? That's almost a worse effect of the corruption. Is knowledge of the corruption leading to scandal like this.
They will make this a fight, not us. Line there and there.
No gaps. Remember how to carry your shield.
Here he is.
You're not hiding, you're holding. Otherwise, it's useless.
Blackwall? Warden Blackwall?
You're not. How do you know my name? Who said ah?
Nice catch.
That's it. Help or get out. We're dealing with these
Oh,
idiots
good.
first. Conscripts, here they come.
Erica's done rapping. I thought you were going to say you were done with Michael because he was, doing terrible pooping things again. Never know.
Hold the wall, men. Make them come to me. You're dead, bastard. Dead. I wasn't here to fight. Stop and think. Too late for that. You know how this ends.
Nice. Eric says my pack is killing me from the weight of carrying this family. Literally. Very literally.
Sorry, bastards. Good work, conscripts. Even if this shouldn't have happened, they could have... Well, thieves are made, not born. Take back what they stole. Go back to your families. You saved yourselves. You're no farmer. Why do you know my name? Who are you?
Kevin says, dude, well over 60% of Catholics don't believe in the real presence. There's no reason to trust annulment tribunals. There is a reason to trust annulment tribunals because they are part of the magisterial authority of the church. That said, there are reasons to distrust them. And part of that is the corruption and the laity that you're pointing to, that sort of thing. But I think that the disbelief in the real presence, stuff like that, is more an indication of falling away of the laity than the institutional church. So it's not like that is... it's not like that in particular is a slight on the institutional structure. It is a slight on institutional catechesis. That's a bad state, but that's its own separate issue, and I think that there's a lot being done to at least try to rectify that. God willing. Erica says, no, Michael's given up and is laying in his crib doing his best impression of a ball hidden under a blanket. Oh yes, of course, as he does when he gets all upsetty, but then still tired. Kevin says Battlestar Sciatica. Oh god, yeah. Yeah, no, it's a battle, alright.
I know your name because I'm an agent of the Inquisition. I'm investigating whether the disappearance of wardens has anything to do with the murder of the Divine.
Maker's balls. The wardens and the
Maker's
Divine.
balls.
That can't... No, you're asking so you don't really know. First off, I didn't know they disappeared. But we do that, right? No more blight, job done. Wardens are the first thing forgotten. But one thing I'll tell you, no warden killed the Divine. Our purpose isn't political.
So where are the rest of you?
I haven't seen any wardens for months. I travel alone, recruiting. Not much interest because the Archdemon is a decade dead, and no need to conscript because there's no blight coming. Treaties give wardens the right to take what we need, who we need. These idiots forced this fight, so I conscripted their victims. They had to do what I said, so I told them to stand. Next time they won't need me.
That's really noble.
Grey wardens can inspire.
I like that
Make
a
you
lot.
better than you think you are.
I really like that. Oh crap, I forgot to investigate.
Warden Blackwall. But now where does this leave us?
Inquisition. Agent, did you say? Hold a moment. The Divine is dead and the sky is torn. Events like these, thinking we're absent is almost as bad as thinking we're involved. If you're trying to put things right, maybe you need a warden. Maybe you need me.
The Inquisition needs all the support it can get. But what can one Grey Warden do?
Save the fucking world if pressed. Look, maybe fighting demons from the sky isn't something I'm practiced at. But show me someone who is. And like I said, there are treaties. Maybe this isn't a blight, but it's bloody well a disaster. Some will honor them. Being a warden means something to a lot of people.
So, Erica, what do you think? Beard aside.
Warden Blackwall, the Inquisition accepts your offer.
Good to hear. We both need to know what's going on. And perhaps I've been keeping to myself for too long. This warden walks with the Inquisition.
Alright, let's take... Varric, Blackwall, and Vivienne. Still gotta take Varric. Do we? No, we can take Cassandra. I'm already a rogue. I don't need another rogue, now that I think about it. 2 warriors isn't a bad build. I hope. If this turns out to suck, then hey, it turns out to suck, but we'll see. Oh god, Erica, kill it. Erica, kill it. Kill it. Kill it dead. Only his beard and big baby lips weren't so bad. Speaking of. Kevin says, I guess my worry is that if the laity so egregiously disbelieve the most central Catholic teaching, why are clergy all the way up immune? Well, they know better, at least relatively speaking. If nothing else, at least most of them. Certainly the hierarchy as such is preserved from error, supernaturally preserved from error. But again, that is only teaching authority. That is not, again, that's not institutional structure per se. And that's kind of the problem. That's a problem, at least. So, yeah, that is, I don't know, I do think that you have a legitimate concern there, and I don't know if I would quite go so far as to say that that is... I found a body bandit. Oh, okay. They don't like Blackwall. But yeah, it's... I think that it is a real significant problem. I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say that it's a problem with the reliability of the institutional structure as such. You know? Control, battlefield control. Protect their allies. Yeah, he needs to be gathering guard. He needs to be getting guard like crazy. Because once he gets a bunch of guard, it's crazy. He is unkillable. Okay. Each block adds to your guard. Okay, we want that. Generates more guard. We want that one. Okay. Chevalier. You can't be flanked. Less likely to be staggered. Meh. Regain stamina when you lose health. Meh. Payback strike. Recently taken damage. Take a lot. You deal a lot more. Can use this to close with opponents. Can this generate guard? I'm just going for things that can generate guard. Shield bash. Damage, bonus damage to enemy guard. Extra damage to the guard. Okay. Gaining extra guard for each enemy affected. Do that. Targeting an enemy and improving your guard, do that. Increasing your stamina regeneration, nah. Challenge as many enemies as you want, no cooldown. Oh, that's badass. Okay. Improve your armor for the front. More enemies and taunting them for longer. Meh. You get a bonus to your maximum guard. Hell yeah. Taking some of the damage they inflict. Hell yeah. You get more damage when people are hitting you. You gain guard for each enemy nearby. Holy crap, yes. Oh my god, yes. Trust the steel. Gain most of your equipment. Gaining a bonus to armor when you have active guard. Yep. There we go. So, we now have the tank of all tanks. Cassandra, we're going to have to build a little bit more towards battlefield control, I think. So we might actually switch her over to Battlemaster. Start doing some Battlemaster stuff for her. Anyway, that's neat. That's really neat. All right. Boop. Landmark. Then to the cave, the mage hideout. Then go to in Hush Whispers. We should be able to at least get there. Wait, this is not the way through, is it? No, it's here. Yeah, this'll do. Okay, cool. What time do I have? 20 minutes. All right, cool. We're fine. We'll at least be able to get to Redcliffe. We might not be able to get in, but we will get there. I'm going to go the other way.
I am very pleased you joined us, Warden Blackwell.
The honor is mine, Lady Seeker.
We need strong, righteous warriors. Now more than ever.
Righteous? High praise, Cassandra. Many wardens have hardly lived righteous lives.
True. Yet you give yourself to an order that would die to protect others. It is never too late to do better, and become more than what you are.
That is the hope.
Quest.
Watch yourself. Bandits up ahead. Or something anyway. They're blocking the road.
You don't think they're bandits?
Bandits wait until people are vulnerable, then hit them fast so nobody escapes. These bastards show themselves too early. They care more about driving people away than taking loot.
That's interesting.
They're either stupid, or they're more than just bandits. And they're too well armed for stupid.
What do we got?
What can you tell me about the attackers on the road?
Several groups, some of them with bows. They've got better armor than most around here. It's too many for us. If you head out there, careful you don't get flanked. They don't take prisoners.
This is something we will eventually handle. Not now.
Thanks for the warning.
Okay, I wasn't going that way anyway. Not yet. What's this? Is this a shard? Yeah, it's a shard. Hear it. Spoopy. What's this then?
We've been searching the region for resources. Commander's orders. No small task given recent troubles, but I've some supplies here you may find useful.
Okay. Okay. There's a rift here. Like right on the other side of this gate. Ah, would you look at that? Damn it, come on. Ah, come on. There. There we go. That's harder than it should have been. Comes way up there off the ground, mostly. That presented problems. Okay. Walking Bomb Ring is something I'll have to hang on to for a very long time if it's going to be useful. Walking Bomb is a necromancy spell, which, well, we haven't found our necromancer yet, let me put it that way. Believe it or not, it's not Vivienne, and it's not Solus. How do I get up there? There is a way up. Over here? Yeah, it is. Here we go. Convenient. Convenient that there's a nice hill up the side of this castle. Or at least this, not castle, but this fortification. That seems... It seems foolish for the sake of defense. But what are you gonna do? It also looks in terrible disrepair, but whatever. These little slit things, these little holes, are these like poor man's machiculations? That's cool. If so, that's very cool. Yeah, they seem to be. Honestly, that seems a little more structurally stable than machiculations proper. I wonder if there's historical precedent for those. I actually don't know. Basically not arrow slits, but holes in the crenelles. They're angled down, that sort of thing. It's interesting. I've never heard of such a thing, but I would not be all that surprised by its existence. Not really at all. It seems like the kind of thing that is fitting and perfectly reasonable. What's this? Let's do that. What's that? There's a statue or something there. It's that house. Okay. No? Okay. Thought I might get fur. Get a fur from that, but no. Stone calls to me. Wait, is that a dwarf having a dream? In my dreams, as I shape it with a chisel and hammer, it shapes me in return. Wait, what? That can't be a dwarf. Having dreams. That seems unnatural. Detrick says, I always liked that Dragon Age ended up being one of the few settings where necromancy ended up being lawful good and neutral, since blood magic's implemented as the no good, very bad thing. Yeah, necromancy itself is not really a bad thing. It is the protection of... I mean, I don't know. It's kind of ambiguous in a lot of cases. In a lot of ways, it's kind of ambiguous. Am I supposed to go this way? No. I guess just north. Yeah, he says the Mortalitasi seem so cool. Yeah, there's something really cool about the concept of Mortalitasi. Erica says, what if dwarves just dream like a normal person in real life? Like, having nothing to do with the Fade, and they just have, like, dreams? Like, dreams like we do? That's a cool idea. I don't think that's supported by the lore. I think that's kind of contradicted, but I'm not sure. You maybe could read that into it. I like the idea, though. And, like, everyone else just doesn't even think of that as dreaming, because it has no connection to the Fade or anything like that. That's actually really cool. It's a cool concept. I don't know if it's... I know it's not in the lore. And I think it might even be contradicted, but it seems very fitting with the lore. If we put it that way. It would make sense with a lot of the other things we know. Yeah, brain processing dreams. Yeah. Yeah, that actually does make a lot of sense. Like, no, dwarves are just... They're just non-magical. They have non-magical dreams. Everyone else is like, oh, those aren't dreams. They're not in the Fade. So they don't count. They're not dreams. You're just seeing things in your head. You're just thinking you're seeing things. You're not actually seeing things because you're not in the Fade. Yada, yada, yada. I don't know why I'm doing a semi-Midwestern accent for human talking to dwarves, but whatever. You get the idea. That's actually kind of clever. Kevin says, no way, my dreams are messed up. Well, they don't touch the Fade. That's actually a major thing. That's the unique thing about dwarves in Dragon Age.
Village should be just ahead.
In the Dragon Age setting, dwarves they do not touch the Fade at all in any way. And that means they don't have dreams in the same sense that everyone else does. Like, everyone else's dreams are magical. They're magical in nature because they are sort of your way into the Fade. I'm gonna go disrupt this thing. You'll excuse me. What's with these circles? I don't know what's with these circles. Ah, there's a lot of them. Okay. Crap. Especially fighting in melee, I realize how annoying those things are now. There we go. You were never so bad as a mage. I was always like way over there, just going pew, 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 pew. But now that I'm in the thick of battle, when those things jump out of the ground, like,
was that?
They're right in the middle of everyone.
We don't know what these rifts can do. That one appeared to alter the time around it.
That's weird.
There are many mages in Redcliffe. Maybe Fiona will know what's going on.
Make her have mercy. It's over. Open the gates.
Yay! We're in. We just had to save them from a bunch of demons. Okay.
We spread word the Inquisition was coming. But you should know that no one here was expecting us.
No one? Not even Grand Enchanter Fiona?
If she was, she hasn't told anyone. We've arranged use of the tavern for the negotiations.
That's strange.
Agents
We
of the
talked
Inquisition,
to her.
my apologies. Magister Alexius is in charge now, but hasn't yet arrived. He's expected shortly. You can speak with the former Grand Enchanter in the meantime.
Magister. More troubling.
Something's not right. We need to talk to the Grand Enchanter.
I agree. Alright. So, we have a very little time, but we will go into Redcliffe Village. And then we'll save, and then we'll wrap this up next time. Well, not wrap this up, but continue next time. Ooh, we should do that first. Hold on. There's a landmark we should get. To be fair, I could do that off stream, but whatever. Yeah, we only got like 5 minutes left. So... Oh, hey, this was that windmill.
Craftsmanship to remain standing after such abuse.
This was the windmill that we snuck into the castle via last time. How do we get up there? Up here? This way?
That whetstone you lent me, it produces a remarkable edge.
Celestine Black, they call it. It's the only stone I'll use on my blades. You know what? Keep it. I'll find another.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Oh, nice of him. Anyway, yeah, that was that windmill, if you remember, from like a year ago. That we got into Redcliffe Castle through a secret passage underneath it. Last time. In Origins.
Have you heard? The Inquisition dealt with the rebel Templars.
Nice.
They've been driven away or killed.
See? What did I tell you?
It's not just that.
I need deft hand find tools. Okay. I guess I should get that next time.
By Templars driven past the point of reason.
Or soon.
Good day.
Here's the way to the castle, I think. Which is broken. Fine.
Even before the sky fell open, this was a land of spirits and demons. Magic grows wild in the hills of Redcliffe. Tell me about your people. They say a spirit dwells in a small lake south of the highway. The girls of the village bring it daisies and ask for love, but rarely does it listen. For 'tis a spirit of valor, not love, and it favors blood lotus flowers.
Interesting. Sounds like we're gonna have to do that too eventually. I mean, that's really sketchy, and we probably shouldn't play with it, but whatever, let's do it anyway. Oh, yeah.
We'll make good use of it. Mother.
Here, let's plant a flag in town square. That's normal. That's a normal thing to do, right?
It was so real. And when I woke up,
very well.
The sheets were as cold as ice.
What to do here? Oh, the door's locked.
Good day.
But that's only for losers. I'm a sneaky, snonky rogue.
May God be with you.
Really? You frickin' deft hands find tools again. That's annoying.
Too many people dying for want of simple herbs. My apologies. Can I help you?
There are refugees at the crossroads who would benefit from a healer.
Of course they would. These attacks by the Templars have endangered countless innocent lives. But if I go to the crossroads to help, I might end up in danger myself. I doubt those refugees would risk their lives for a knife here. Why should I risk mine for them?
The Inquisition welcomes anyone willing to help, human, elf, or otherwise. If you help those refugees, we'll ensure that you're taken care of.
All right. If the Inquisition soldiers are there, I might be safer regardless. I'll
Nice.
see you at the crossroads soon. Just give me a moment to gather my things.
Cool. I kind of maybe should have helped here first, but it's fine. Okay. Let's finish exploring around the town, at least for the next minute or two. See what else we have. There's shops. I'll do shopping, like I said, off stream as well. Buying and selling and all of that. Oh, this is just a shop. Okay. There's a quest over here. Quests to pick up galore. So this will be our basically our last chance to change our mind about siding with the mages rather than Templars.
Seen a ram that is different? Lord Wolseley wandered off, and he's very special. If you could find him, I'd be most grateful.
What makes your ram so special?
Well, he's always brought the family luck, and his advice helped us make our fortune.
Your ram offered advice?
He's a very special ram.
Okay.
Your ram has gone missing?
Yes. I'm certain that if he heard his Jimmy missed him, he'd come right back. He's likely at our family's old summer cabin. It's by the lake in the southern hills. If you do find him and send him back, I'd be happy to pay you.
Okay, well.
I'll speak with you later.
If you find my ram, please send him home.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, on that crazy note, I think we're going to call it there for the night. So, thank you all once again for joining me. This has been a good time. We've managed to actually get our two companions that we were trying to get tonight. That'd be Iron Bull and Blackwall. We're going to be thinking about Blackwall as a possible romance option. The alternative, of course, being Cullen, who's not actually a companion. He's an advisor, so he's only back at Haven or eventually back at Skyhold. But is a good option and is far less the negligent type, let's say. In any case, that's something to think about moving forward. And we're going to be picking up right here, and like I said, we're probably going to be siding with the mages. This is kind of our last chance to make that decision one way or the other. We could still switch back to supporting the Templars at this point, but the point of no return is approaching. So if you guys have really strong arguments to go the other way, let me know them, and I'll think about it. Otherwise, we will be continuing Monday, as usual, playing Greedfall. Continuing again where we left off, picking up there. I did some exploration off stream there. I unlocked a bunch of campsites and stuff for fast travel reasons, stuff like that. So that'll be handy. Otherwise, that's all I have for tonight. So, I hope you and yours have a Merry Christmas coming up. And I will see you guys on the other side of it during the Christmas octave. I'm not going to wish you a Merry Christmas except in advance, because again, I'm a stickler about those things. But I will wish you a very good night, and I will say, I will tell you to have a Merry Christmas when it comes around. So thank you all so much for joining me tonight, and I will see all of you next time. Good night.